Hello world, and welcome back to this chapter of the tutorial. And today what we are going to do is we are going to be adding the bullet to the enemy so that the enemy can finally shoot the player. So first of all, let us go to the enemy scene over here. So let's click on this icon, and actually what I actually wanted to do first is to add another timer over here. You can see why organizing things is very important when creating your games. So let's name this shoot time. So we can go over the inspector over here. You can change the process call back to physics, change the wait time to like maybe 3 seconds so that the enemy can shoot the player every 3 seconds. You can toggle on the auto start over here, and now we are going to connect the timeout signal. Click on connect, and this is where we are going to verify the code later on. So first of all, as usual, let us test things out. Okay, now we can see we are getting the yellow over here. Okay, we are getting the yellow printed out in the output. So now first of all, what we actually wanted to do is you can remember from the last topic that I said the code we're actually writing is for now still a prototype, and we're actually going to refactor many things. So let's go ahead and start doing that. First of all, I'm going to create a variable. Okay, we already have the player variable over here. We don't need to create anything anymore. So we already have the player over here. So now we are going to test if the distance between the player. Okay, actually I don't want that. Global position dot distance to the player dot global position. And now first of all, let us test this out. I think we've already explained about this when we talked about the enemy movement. We've already discussed about this. So uh, 82, no, 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 120, 203. I think 203 is actually very good. Okay, I think I'm going to go with a 200. So let's go with 200. I think 200 is great. Okay, so we're actually going to create a condition for that. So now um, okay, let us continue. Now first of all, we are going to create the enemy bullet. Don't forget how we create the player bullet. We are going to click on the new scene over here, or click on Ctrl N So we're going to click this instantiate new scene over here. So scene, I'm going to click on bullet scene, and now we can rename this to our enemy bullet. And now we can hit Ctrl S to save our scene. It's a very good thing to do too, or it's a very important to always save your scene very often, because sometimes the Godot engine might crash. So you want to ensure that you always save your scene. And now we're going to create a new script, enemy bullet.gd, put it in the right location, and we are good to go. And just like the player bullet, so we can just go ahead and copy things. And now we're going to make a few adjustments and the speed, maybe 80. Okay, and just like how the player can shoot the enemy, the same way the enemy is going to shoot the player. So I think that's direction to player dot position. And don't forget the rotation also. I believe I've already explained this in the previous part of the tutorial. If you haven't watched it yet, you can do so by now, and I recommend doing so before continuing the tutorial. And okay, so let's create a variable, the enemy bullets variable. We're going to reference our enemy bullet scene. Okay, sorry. Let us name it enemy bullets. Let's put the S so that we can easily name this enemy bullets. We set the position of the enemy bullet to equal to the current enemy, which is actually the current position. We must ensure it is actually global position. Don't forget, if since we are actually not going to be transforming uh, this node over here, you can easily leave it as position instead of global position. Or if you like, for scalability, you can just go ahead and use the global position for scalability and consistency across our code. So now let us forget the name of this node that holds all the bullets in our game, which is the bullets. The name of the group is bullets with this underscore as the front. So now we're going to get our tree. We're going to call this very familiar function. And now we're going to add the enemy bullets. And I think we are good to go, except some few adjustments like the rotation. And again, we can easily set it to global rotation instead of local. I mean, if you leave it as just rotation, we are going to be using local instead of global. So for consistency, just use a global over here, and I'm going to set it to equal to this. And now let us go ahead and test our game. Okay, I'm not sure this is working. It's not working. It's very much not working. Okay, good. Good. The direction. Oh, sorry, my bad. All this simple mistake are actually very common when you are creating a game. So this name is we're going to let it go to the enemy bullet direction, and things should work perfectly fine by now. Okay, I think the timer is not working perfectly. This is actually very slow. I don't want this. This is very slow, very slow. So we are actually going to make few adjustments to the timer node later on. Okay, I think something is wrong with the code. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to figure it out. Okay, let's go to the node over here. This is the enemy bullet. Okay, this is the okay. But let's try 300. Yeah, our enemy scene. Let us change the wait time to 2 seconds, and also we're going to add the print function over here. Just print anything. Okay, something is very, very wrong with the code. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, I think I know what is wrong actually. So, first of all, I think dot abs method this should uh, I'm trying to look for absolutes so that we are not getting uh this negative sign symbol over here. Sorry, sign, so that we are not getting negative sign. So I think that's what is causing the error. So okay, now let's go ahead and oh, sorry, not over here. Okay, we are still getting the same error. Oh gosh. Okay, sorry guys. I'm very, very sorry. So it should actually be less than, not greater than 300. So my mistake. That's a very, very silly mistake. I'm very, very sorry. So now things should work as expected. I can already see that the bullet is actually very slow. You don't want that kind of bullet. The player is also very slow. So let's go ahead and fix all these stuffs. First of all, let us delete all the prints in our codes. So now, uh, let's change the enemy bullet speed to, I don't know, maybe 140. Okay, player bullet to 160, and the player speed, let's change it to 400. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, I think looking good. Maybe. Yeah, I think it's very, very looking good. We get what we want. Good. So now let us crank these things up a little bit. In our missing, let's create a node called node. Let us name it the timers. So this is actually where we'll be adding all the main scene timers. So let's add another node, a timer node. Let's name it enemy timer. So we're going to set the wait time to, I'm not sure it's actually matters for now, because we're actually going to reduce this waste time with time, so as to increase the level of difficulty, so that the game is actually not easy. No one loves a very easy game. We want to make things a little bit difficult. So let's connect the timer signal, and we are getting an error. That's because our main scene doesn't have a script attached yet. You can already see any node with a script attached, you're going to see this little icon over here. And if you go to our main scene, we don't have that icon, which means we need to connect a script to the main scene. So let's go ahead and do that. And now, first of all, you can right click this signal over here and click on this disconnect. You can already see that we can also click the delete button if you want to disconnect signal. So let's connect it again. It disconnects, and now what we're actually going to do is when the enemy timer's time runs out, we're going to add a new enemy to the scene. So first of all, we need a reference to the enemy scene. Okay, let's just name it enemies. So I believe the steps are now familiar. So create an enemy, and now we're actually going to set the position to be equal to a random number from top. We are actually not going to make it at this 0 point over here. We want to bring it down at 16 by 16. Don't forget, all our node size are actually 32 by 32, and if we divide 32 by 2, we're going to get a 16. And don't forget, the origin point is actually at the center. This is why we are dividing it by 2. So we're going to start generating it randomly from 16 by 16, 16 at the x and 16 at the y position. We're going to end it at our screen width minus 16 and our screen height minus 16. So don't let us forget, uh I think the size is like 640, yeah, 640 times 320. So now let's go back to our code, and I'm going to set the enemy position. Don't forget, it is very recommended to always use global position. Okay, sorry for that. So although sometimes you're actually going to use uh, the local position, But as for me, I recommend always using the global position. And if you later realize that using local position makes more sense than using uh, the global position, so you can easily use that. So range from 16 to, that's 320 minus 16, which is 304. So range from 16 to, that's 640 minus 16, and that should be 320. Sorry, that should be 624. Hopefully I'm correct. Yeah, I think, yes, I think it's correct. So, and we're going to be adding it to, not the main scene directly. Don't forget, it is very recommended that you keep things organized. So name it enemies. And so don't let us forget, you can easily reference it using the dollar sign over here. Enemies, I'm going to call the add child function and pass the enemy. And now don't let us forget, our timer node has a one shot, this one shot triggered, which means it is only going to run once. And so we need a way to restart the timer, yeah, to restart the timer. So and this, you can easily set it over here, enemy timer just start. So, but first of all, let us discuss about this, the wait time, that is going to start from 10 seconds, but we're actually going to reduce it gradually to make things difficult a little bit for the player as a progresses throughout again, and to keep things fresh. So now, first of all, let us set it to equal 10, and every time we add a new enemy to the scene, we're going to reduce the wait time. You can set any number here, and we don't want it to actually equal some threshold. And so I think if it is greater than this, 2 seconds, let us use 2 seconds. So what this does is that we don't actually want enemies to be popping in our scene almost every second. So to prevent that, that's why we set this new condition over here. So we can also print the wait time so that we can easily monitor how the variable changes. Okay, now let's go ahead and run our scene. Okay, let us wait for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay, looking good. So now we can already see that the wait time is now 9.8. I think there's already a mistake in the code. I think first of all, let us close it. Okay, just what I suspected. We are now setting the wait time to equal to the new wait time that we we change it to. So You can also rename the variable to wait time, because who knows, you might actually want to add another wait time to the code. So to avoid naming conflict, let's put to the front so that we can easily know that it is an enemy wait time. So, and everything should works perfectly. Okay, sorry, let's go ahead and debug the wait time. So e just stands for the enemy. If you like, you can use all these shortcuts if you know you can remember it very well, and you can easily add a comment if you want, like what might help you to remember what a variable stands for, just in case you might have forget. So you can easily add it using this hash symbol over here to add a comment. And so don't let us forget, all comments are going to be ignored by the compiler or the interpreter. So let's go ahead and run it. And now we are going to wait patiently. 9.8. Actually, we can ignore all these 0.0000001. So we can easily ignore that. A very cool idea just popped into my head right now. Like whenever the enemy just stands, whenever the player just stands over here and probably isn't moving at all. So we actually want it so that when the enemies start shooting, like they are shooting the player right now, and they notice that the player just stands there, not moving, no action being performed. And what this actually does is that after some time, they finally leave the player alone, and later they will still come back to the player and start shooting. So I think that will make for a very good game. So also once the counter reaches 2, we are going to end it for this section. Before, I thought we are going to discuss about the HUD, which is the heads up display, so that we can easily display the player heads, the player bullets, and so on, all those stuffs as we will probably see in games. Okay, I'm not sure the code is working. Alright, I think it does. I know exactly what went wrong. So this should actually be greater than or equal to 2, and so everything should work perfectly right now. So if it doesn't, please kindly leave it in the comment below what went wrong, and we will be revisiting it on the next part of the tutorial. And for the player seen over here, we are going to be revisiting it also in the next part, and we are going to be discussing about the HUD, so that we can add some cool stuff to our game. And I'll see you in the next part of the tutorial. So stay safe and bye for now.